Hello and welcome back to Roy's Workshop. Today it's episode 4 of the Ferguson mess around, really. One thing's led to another and now we've gone down this horrible track. Good news, our delivery from Mayhill Tractor has arrived. So let's have a look and see what they've kindly sent us. Let's go from here. Who put this on a chair? That's the idea. Oh, mistakes were made. Something like that. Open. Well packaged. And they sent me more of that. Yes, look at that. Which is handy because I've just sold some stuff on eBay. Filter for the International. Let's get that out of the way. I'll pop that there. Gasket set, good. Let's get it all out. Pivot pin bush for the front axle. Oh, look at the meat on that. Whoa. She said. Front axle pit. Oh, look at that. Isn't that nice? Lovely. That means I might be able to get the front end done of this schmoo, but I really like it. Lift cover gasket set. Perfect, because obviously I want to have a look inside the back end. Have a look at what's hiding in there. Bottom end gasket set. So hopefully that's got, some gaskets there. The T-piece seals are there. Let's have a look and see. So hopefully, and I'll be able to change, got a whole load of work on, and now I'll have to change the front timing cover seal, because I'll do that, and I'll do the rebuild the front end, then we'll have a look at the main seal on the back end of the crankshaft from the rear. That looks really good actually. I'll get back to you in a moment. Cool. All right. So we've got the new bush. That's perfect. Bloody brilliant. And obviously where it's been sat before, there's a bit of a ridge of dirt that's built up over the years. So I'm going to clean up with this sort of round sanding attachment. And you get a kit of this. This was, I think it was about a tenner. And we get it from Screwfix, like all like a store for hardware and stuff. And bloody brilliant. I've used it on all sorts. When I fitted Super Pro bushes to the Morris and the 90, this was so handy for cleaning out everything and getting all the crap out the way. So let's quickly do it to this. Oh, look at that bloody crap come out. And you don't want to take too much off. It is literally just to clean it all up. I should have shown you beforehand, shouldn't I? But that's so that's what it looks like now. A damn sight better than what it did because it was crappy. And there's a bit of a lip here. So now I'll tap in the new bush with a mallet, and I'll be back in a minute. So there we have it. The bush is fully installed now, and it's nice and smooth inside, and the new pin, which looks like this lovely new pin, does slot in rather nice. There's nowhere near as much as what there was before. Here's the old one in case you didn't catch it, and you can see how worn it is and how it's worn away. Obviously that is meant to be like that all the way around. A point to note is when you're fitting these is to make sure that the edge, because it isn't whole, where the cut is, put it to one side, because obviously there's a lot of pressure on the top and bottom, so you want it out of the way. I've put it on this side, but you put it on either side, it doesn't really matter. Just something to bear in mind. So now what I'm going to do is turn my attention, now that I've got that in, going to turn my attention back over to the rocker. I need to clean up the rocker and get that spray painted. The weather's great today, so I'm going to paint it to stop that rusting issue happening again. I cleaned it up yesterday, and a lot of surface rust came off, so I'm going to clean up a lot more, and then we'll get that sealed up. Pull the front pulley off, because I've got a new seal for the timing cover to go in, and then yeah, we'll just keep going. So I'm going to have to take off the fan belt and the front pulley, and then once I got the crankshaft seal in, I can then throw the front axle back on, and I'll probably use the bolt off this front axle, because the ones that came on the other one were heavily seized, whereas these ones are free. And then I can start looking at doing the main crankshaft seal, and we'll just chew our way through. Stick with it, I'm sure it'll be worth it, and I'd quite like to get this done this weekend. Time will tell. So I was meant to start rebuilding, and to some extent I have. I've put the bush in the axle, but for me to do the front timing cover seal, I thought I'd be able to get it from the front and pull it out. However, I can't. So I've taken off the dynamo, the fan and the timing cover. Everything looks fine in here, so I can change that seal. Make sure you undo all the bolts. I didn't see this one, it was hidden behind a casting. I was trying to get it off and then saw it. Just something for your information. Luckily I do have a kit. The gasket kit, the bottom end kit, does cover this seal, so I can put the proper seal back in. Let's wander on over to the bench, and I'll show you what I'm about to do. So I've cleaned it up already. It was a little bit dirty. Let's see if you can see. Now you can. Look at that. You can see the stand as well. So this was held together with RTV. I've cleaned off all the stuff that's left is loose, and I'll flush it off again before I refit it, of course. It's a good time to check the spindle inside, make sure everything's free and not no damage or anything. Nice smooth action, which is always great to see. So yeah, I thought I'd be able to pull, let's get it in camera. I thought I'd be able to pull this seal out from the front. I know I can on other cars, but obviously on these you need to pull it out from the rear. So I've got a piece of, make sure that's sitting, make sure it's sitting, oh, it's sitting on the bolt. So for me to get this seal out, I do need to push it out from the front. I found this piece of exhaust, and it's just about the right sort of size. So I'm going to chase it round, happy it out, nice and gentle. Boom, look at that. Quickly shut the inside, make sure everything's all right. I'll get a rag in here and I'll clean it all out. And that to me, well, it's a rubber seal. But it was weeping, so it needed to be changed anyway. It's better to, whilst the tractor's in many bits, we may as well do it, hadn't we? So quickly tidy out in there. And then looking at the new one, and make sure that we put it in the right way, because that would be slightly embarrassing. Hello, welcome back. So the front seal is now in. I ended up using the press just to make sure I got it in perfectly square, and it's got in perfectly fine. It's all dried out inside, and it's all nice and happy. I've thrown the gasket on. I try to, and if I remember, I'm pleased I ordered this. Always try and use the proper gaskets. Silicon's good, and there was silicone on this, but if you can and you remember, always try and use proper gaskets, because it's so much cleaner, and obviously you don't run the risk of having silicone sealant floating around in your oil system if you put too much on. So this one's on perfectly fine. This cleaned up really well. I'm very happy with it. So I'll throw this one on. This is trying to find the hole for now. And we'll make sure they all line up. And I'll throw this on. I'll be back in a minute because you don't need to see this. I have checked that the front pulley does go in, and it does slot in quite nicely. I'm going to clean up the front pulley, and then hopefully, finally, I might be able to start rebuilding. I'll throw all the governor bits back on, the dynamo on it, and I'll catch up with you when I get it fully built. See you in a second. Hoo-wee! So that's the front end put back together. Front pulley, make sure I don't fall over. Front pulley all back on, fan and dynamo and everything. I had to quickly look online to make sure I had the governor set up correctly. From a picture it looks right, but I think this might be on the wrong side. But if it is, we'll have to adjust it later on. Naturally I should have taken a photograph before I took it apart, but I forgot. Never mind. Next we're going to clean the front carrier for the front axle, and then we can start chucking the front axle back on. So I'm going to clean all that crap up because it looks horrendous. We'll get that gone. Still got those two big bolts. Those two are down there. And then yeah, we'll clean it all up and we'll start to hopefully make this start looking like a tractor again. Once I get the front axle on, I can then chuck the radiator on. We can take away that front, the axle stands that I made for the support the front end. We can do the timing, do the tappets then, which would be great. The tappet cover's outside drying. We can get that fully built. And then yeah, just start plodding on and hopefully rebuild. I still need to drop the rear main cap to chuck in the seal. But I want to get the front end rebuilt and sorted, and then it's a natural progression. For the clutch, actually a good point that I saw on one of the Facebook forums, one of the Fergie forums, because I don't have the clutch alignment tool for the Fergie. I've never used one. One of the guys said, take out the shaft, the input shaft out of the transmission and use that to line it up. It's only 4 bolts. And it's a bloody light bulb moment, really. Fantastic idea. So I'm going to do that. Also from the bottom end gasket kit, it does come, I think, with the gasket for that. So even better, because I had to use silicone because I didn't have the gasket. I'll put the proper gasket in and that'll bloody perfect. And then we're being prepared for later on when we do eventually put all this back together. Can't remember if I mentioned it, but I have cleaned out the radiator. Quite a lot of gump came out the radiator, so I'm pleased with that. We've got that somewhere near. And yeah, once I get the front axle back on, I'll come back to you then, I think. And we'll try and get this hopefully rebuilt fairly soon. Back in a moment. And as if by magic, the front wheels have arrived. So it's now back on its own front tyres and freestanding, obviously apart from the frame at the back. Very happy with it. It went together really well. The bolts just need cleaning up, all the threads and what have you. Obviously I am going to wash it because it is covered in schmoo. But we'll get there. I am going to go around and check tighten everything before we go any further. But next is finally the job that that all of this, well, the job that started all of this off, and that's this rear main seal. So I'm going to drop the cap out, get that totally out of the way, and then we'll see how easy or difficult it is to fit the new new seal. Obviously I've got a new one. In fact, I have one of each. I have one of the rope seals just here, came in the bottom end kit, but I ordered in the previous one the proper rubber seal, so hopefully the rubber one will be alright. We'll get there, slowly but surely. It is very slow, but hey, what else we got to do? I'll drop it all out, I'll clean it all up, and I'll catch up with you soon. So I've got both oil seals out. I managed to get the end cap off, no great problem. So on the left is the new one, and on the right is the old one. You can see a size difference between the two because the old one had shrunk, so there was a gap. I can't remember if I'd shown it, but there was about a 5mm gap. at the either end, so the edges weren't touching, so it wasn't sealing. And also this one has, well, it's gone brittle, and it was far easier for me to break it, so take it out in 3 pieces than it was as one. This one's still really malleable, of course, so I'm going to lube it up, and I'm going to try and feed it in to where this one was, and then we'll put the main cap on, get that sorted, and then, well, once we get that done, we can start rebuilding. Now there's something that I'm not used to at the moment. So yeah, let's go throw this in. Back in a minute. So there we have it. The new crankshaft seal is in there. You can see, well, you can sort of see the small slit where the ends meet. So that's obviously doing a slightly better job, hopefully. All went back in together. It's all tucked down nice and neatly. I'll clean it up a bit, and then we've got the dust cover just there to throw back on, so that's all manky. So yeah, I'll get that on, and then it'll be tappets, sump, clutch, and then probably somewhere near putting it back together. Huzzah. Update on the water tower. Here behind me you can see it working beautifully. Transferring the water from the spring down at our IBC. It's going to take about 4 or 5 minutes for it to fill up, and then about an hour for it to fill up from the spring. All nicely set up. Very pleased with it. That's about it, really. That's all there is to say. Bye. So obviously Flywheel, we all recognise this. I've cleaned it up because it was in a terrible shape with all the oil being thrown at it. And I'm changing the spigot bearing as I'm changing obviously all the clutch. It comes part of the kit from Mayhill Tractor, and it is a really good kit. I'm thoroughly impressed with it. Obviously this bearing, it's horrible. It really is something else. Obviously the new bearing, very nice. So I've cleaned it all up. I've run a wire wheel on an angle grinder just to roughen up this surface on the flywheel a bit more. That was a hint from Lance at Bundy Bear's shed. And actually, I'm pretty impressed with how it's come up. Obviously, my hands are oily, and I will clean it up again with brake cleaner and carb cleaner when I before I fit it. But at the moment, I'm just going to fit this bearing, and I've got a perfectly sized piece of drift to tap it in. I could use the press, but actually, you don't have to use all the tools you've got. Just make sure it's going in nice and straight. And perfect. So it's in there. Oh god, that feels so much better. In there, it's nice and smooth on the outside. There's no damage to the ring. So yeah, I'm very with the outer race. No damage to the outer race, so I'm happy with that. I'll now move over to the tractor, and we'll look at. Fuck, it's clocking on, isn't it? I'll leave it there for today, I think. I've got a family quiz tonight, so I've got to quickly tidy up as it's starting in about an hour. So we'll stop there. We'll carry on tomorrow because family time is as important, if not more important, than being in the workshop. We all know where we'd prefer to be, but we still need to spend time with our loved ones. So today, what have we done? We've completed. So the front end's all back together. It's all tightened down. The front pin has been replaced, as is the bush. Obviously, the timing cover seal has also been done. We've had the whole front end off and a new timing cover. Having it all cleaned up, nice and neat, ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow, what we'll do is I'll put the clutch on. We'll get the clutch done, get that lined up. I'll take off the input shaft for the gearbox to line up the clutch. That is I don't know why I didn't think of that, but I didn't. So we'll do that. We'll get that lined up, and then that's that done. We can do the tappets now that it's all together. It'll be easier to do the tappets with the flywheel on, because then I'll be able to turn it by hand. That's about it. I do need to start looking at the rear end now, because the oil's arrived. Obviously, the seal kit has arrived, all the for all the gasket kit even. So we'll plough on. We'll just keep steady away at it. And I'm not going to put the radiator on or any of the bodywork, obviously the fuel tank, until it's back together. I want to try and keep the engine as bare as I can for lining it up and putting it back together. And then I can, like tin work, I can worry about afterwards. That's no great shakes. And it's all nice and easy accessible. It does leave access a bit easier for everything else. So to that end, thanks very much for watching. Do comment and give us a like and all that sort of thing. I appreciate it, if nothing else. We will endeavour to get there. Wherever we're going, we're going to get there. Again, thanks for watching. See you later. Stay safe. Bye now.